the latest what's happening now. What's up, Hannah?
Okay. So you just want me to start from the beginning? Like how far back?
However far back you want to.
Well, I mean, I've been doing music my whole life. Music's something that's always been a passion of mine. And I went to school, when I went to college, I went to school at MTSU, and I went as a recording industry major because that's what I really wanted to do was music. I didn't really want to do like have nothing's wrong with the regular 9 to 5. My family's super traditional, but I was always like the black sheep. Like I did it differently, and I was like, I want to do something in entertainment. So yeah, I went to school, ended up changing my major just because I didn't like the program at my school, and then I ended up graduating. Fast forward, and then after I graduated, it was time for me to choose like whether I was going to get a job and, like get settled at where I'm from. And then I was just like, no, something's calling me to do music. Something's calling me to do entertainment. So I packed up, I moved to LA just because I felt like, obviously when I'm from Nashville and Houston. So like I rep both. I'm from the South Side. So
But
if anybody when people ask me, I rep both. But I left Nashville and I just felt like I wanted to just meet more people and try to network and try to get in in the music space, in the music industry. So I moved here, and then really the rest is like history. I just I didn't know anybody here. I met somebody out here, and then it was like a domino effect. And I was able to get in some rooms with some really cool producers and writers. And then from there, I just continued to build. And then I started putting out music and getting a little more recognition in the industry. And I was starting to work with like some really cool, like I said, producers and writers. And yeah,
that's
where I'm at now is like, I'm in a good space, and I feel like I'm starting to get recognition as far as like my music, and I'm ready to drop some new projects on some people. And yeah.
that's lit. That's lit. So let's talk about some of those studio sessions when you transitioned to LA and you got to meet some producers, writers, engineers, some notable people that you work with. How did that come about?
So I'm trying to think I moved here the springtime. And I feel like when the springtime hits, that's when like industry's really working, like people in the studio trying to tee up for the summer and the fall. So I was at I don't know if you know this producer, Tommy Brown.
Yeah, yeah, I'm familiar with
One
Tommy.
of my homies, yeah. I met him through my friend Mike, who is now a part of Social House. I don't know if you heard of Social House,
I've heard of
but
Social House, yeah.
yeah, Mikey at the time, he was a photographer, and it was my first week in LA, and I met Mike, and he wanted to do a shoot. So we ended up going over to where he was staying at the moment. He was like staying in Beverly Hills, but he was with Tommy. That's where they all like had the studio and they stayed. And I just honestly, we just all end up vibing. And then I went to their house like a week later for like a cookout, and I met this producer Donut. And then from there, Donut had introduced me to Yanni, who's my executive producer right now and has been my producer, like my right-hand man for like 3 years now, like 2 years, 2 or 3 years. And yeah, like it's so just I would say like for artists out there, like being in the rooms with producers and stuff like that, you just kind of automatically you get around a circle of people, and then you just if you vibe, you catch a vibe, and you end up working with some pretty cool people. So yeah, I've been working with Yanni since 2018, and we've been building this project. And then obviously the pandemic kind of like pushed everything to the side. So this year I'm ready to release all of that we've been like building over time.
Lit. Let's talk about this project, this unreleased project. What can we expect on there? You got any big features? Any songs that you've already released that's on the project? Because I know you just released a song recently called Waiting. So if you want to talk about how did that manifest?
So waiting was, honestly, it was one of those records. I made it during quarantine. And at the time, like I said, I had put my project on hold. So I was like, I want to release some music for people just so they know I'm still here. It's just, I didn't want to put out my project. I didn't just want to throw it out without being able to give it everything it deserves. And because the world was shut down, I wasn't able to, film and do the things that I needed to do because a lot of people had to be in the house. Particularly the people I was working with, my team. Some people had caught COVID. So it was just one of those things where I was just like, all right, we're going to hold off on the project and I'm just going to do some music for fun, something that I feel right now, and I'm going to drop it. So the song is more about like, it's coming from a place like in COVID, we can't see each other, but once we finally see each other, it's like we waited long enough, like, let's go ahead and, let it out. Way possible. But
Facts.
yeah, I love waiting.
Facts. Yeah, I like that single too, actually. It's a dope single.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot going on with COVID right now. Let's take a time, a brief silence for DMX. He was passed today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any words? How did DMX inspire you?
I just today I saw something. I'm at peace. What I realized about, life is a circle of life. Like there's a time where everyone has to leave at some point. And what I like today, there was a moment where I was like, wow, like a lot of influential people in the past months and a couple years have passed away. And it just made me think how influential DMX has been in the culture of hip hop and even R&B, like how he works with Aaliyah, and Aaliyah is one of my inspirations, of course. So just being able to see him be so diverse, he's definitely, I would say, an inspiration of mine. I wouldn't say like I, grew up every day in the house listening to DMX, but in my house, my mom, like when I called my mom today, she was like so sad. She was like, you don't understand. Like that was like a real big part of her growing up as well. So for me, I love to like study the greats. I watch the greats, and I just feel like he was one of those people that cultivated hip hop, and he has so much respect. Rest in peace, DMX. Love him.
That's facts. That's facts. Yeah. So when you moved to LA, you not only was a artist, you're creative as well. You do skits and things like that. You work with creatives like D Storm. Talk about how those collaborations came about.
So that's funny you said that, because that ties in with like how I was able to get in some room with different producers. When I first moved here, I didn't know anybody. My friend Zach, actually, he's a real estate agent out here. He used to play for the Titans. So I met him back in Tennessee. So I called him up and I was like, look, Zach, like I really want to move to LA. I like, you don't understand, like I need to get out there. Can you like introduce me to some people, like as far as like entertainment? I was just hungry, hustling. And I think you would know, like when you really passionate about something, you want to get something going. Like I've always been self-sufficient. I've always just thought like I can have whatever I want, like, sky's the limit type of thing. So where I was in my life, I was just kind of like, just put me in the room with some dope ass people. Like I just want to entertain. I want to be around that vibe. So he knew Daystorm, and then he introduced me to Daystorm. And then shortly after I moved here, we just started doing skits naturally, just kicking it. Cause that dynamic in the circle on social media, the chemistry is real between a lot of influencers that do the skits and things, because a lot of everybody are real friends in real life. So it was just cool because we all just like, hung out, kicked it, and have fun and just filmed some crazy stuff online. But then I let that go because for me, I love doing that, but I needed to get into a place where I need to get in my bag and focus on my music. So I just kind of stopped, but you know, it's still here. I would do it
And did
for
you
fun.
feel like at one point it was overshadowing you as an artist? Just you being like a skit artist, or being in those Instagram, that Instagram influencer realm?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say I don't think it was overshadowing me, but I don't feel like I didn't want to get oversaturate my artistry with things that, I would say I wasn't passionate about it, but for me, I wanted to do more. I wanted to do more. And I just felt like there was a moment in time where I was just kind of like, I'm kind of getting bored with this right now. I really want to do music. I want to focus on music. And then also, to go hand in hand with what you just said, which was like being taken serious as an artist or things like that. Those things definitely ran through my mind. Just because I just feel like the internet's just a crazy beast. It's turning into something different. So for me, I was just kind of like, you know what, if I'm going to show people me, I want to show them me, like who I really am, not pretending to be a character all the time. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So eventually I would do it. I would still do it. And I definitely want to act. Like I want to do movies, like film and things like that. So yeah, I was just wanting to get more creative and show people what I create, which is music.
Okay. That's dope. That's dope. Yeah. So you got like any behind the scenes stories, when you're working with Daystorm and all those other creatives, that what goes on behind the scenes, because you said, they have a lot of good chemistry going outside of what's posted like on Instagram and YouTube and everything. So what is it like, kicking it behind the scenes?
It's just real vibes. I mean, it's no different than a studio, it's just you hang out and then you guys create something based off of a funny joke. Usually a lot of behind the scenes is a lot of people just joking around, and then from there you come up with the idea and then you're like, let's shoot that, that type of thing. But I wasn't, all around. I wouldn't say too much. I was around, but for me, I was always doing my own thing.
That's dope. That's dope. It's cool to know that, because I was just reading somewhere like Nipsey Hussle, when he got the opportunity to be Snoop Dogg in a movie before he really like popped
Mm,
off for when he got signed to Atlantic, and he turned it down because he was like, I don't really want it to oversaturate my brand or me as an artist, before I really blow. So I get
right.
I get that perspective of it. Um,
Mm,
yeah, let's talk about the studio. Let's talk about the music. What,
mm.
what gets you going in the studio? What's the vibe? Do you smoke? You drink? What's your writing process like? When you're working with
Yeah,
your producers and everything else.
I definitely spark me up one every now and then, just depending on the vibe. I'm actually transitioning to like not drinking. I don't think I want to drink anymore. And I say and I may have a glass of wine, but I don't know if I want to drink because, like, I don't know. I don't want to poison my body, and it's just, I don't know. It doesn't hit me the same because I feel like I drank so much in college. I'm like, I'm not even feeling it anymore. But yeah, I'll drink. And really, honestly, it has to be like a cool mood. Like I gotta have everything that I need. Like if I want some snacks, it needs to be there, drinks, just to, get in my vibe, in the mode. And I'll go in the booth and I'll lay down an idea and then I'll come out and then write to it. Or sometimes I just go right in and just freestyle and it'll come out. But yeah, it's all my anything I do is stimulated off of just naturally feeling that way. Nothing's ever forced. So when I'm in a situation where I'm gonna create, like it's gotta just be fun. It's gotta feel like fun. Cause if it feels like work, I can't do it. I overthink, I stop, it's just too much. So I'm just like, I learned just to have fun with the
Facts.
process.